The best thing about AEW is that it has allowed all of us to dream again. Not about like taking over the wrestling business or toppling Vince or anything like that, but all the really, really fun stuff like, I don't know, top of my head, hiring all of its staff. In WWE, we largely know about how their hiring policy works, and we know pretty much what they're going to stick to. But in AEW, there are no such conventions yet, so we can scour the entire wrestling world and beyond for the right people to fill the right jobs. And let's not mess about here, for however important it is to get the right people in front of the cameras in AEW, it's equally as important, if not more so, to get the right people behind the cameras. Wrestling shows, and by extension wrestling promotions, live and die by the kind of people you've got behind the curtain, and thankfully AEW have got the kind of money to put whoever they want there. So let's get on with it then. My name is Adam Cleary, and these are 10 non-wrestlers AEW should sign. Number 10, XPac Producer. Up until very recently, this is not the kind of prediction I would have made with any kind of confidence, because there cannot be that many people who are as tight with trips that they get a front row seat to NXT without having to sign for NXT. That is the purest picture that has ever been taken. Anyway, the major headline from WWE's most recent Hall of Fame announcement was that Chyna would finally be getting the recognition her career so richly warranted as part of the DX inclusion. Now, in with that is obviously Triple H, is obviously HBK, is the aforementioned X-Pac, the Road Dogg, and most interestingly of all, Billy Gunn. Now, why is that interesting? I hear you tap on the screen very gently, because he was part of the Raw 25 reunion. He is going to be at the Hall of Fame, but he is also a producer for AEW. Now, surely if the door is open for him to perform both roles, and that is a luxury that can be extended to Sean Waltman as well, because, and the whole X-Pac thing to one side, the guy has decades upon decades of in-ring experience and would be a benefit to any wrestling company in the world backstage, let alone AEW. Number 9, Jim Ross, commentary. Such is the heft of speculation surrounding Jim Ross actually going to AEW that there is a chance that it might already have happened before this video goes out. So if it has, well done me, I guess. Now, while the man does remain the romanticized version of most of our favorite wrestling moments inside our heads, he's not been full-time with WWE since he left the company in 2013. Now, yes, he did come back for the Mae Young Classic, he did come back for the Undertaker's sort of retirement, and he did come back for Raw 25, which I never ever want to talk about again, but still not full-time. Since then, he's worked the independent circuit, why yes, including some blockbuster old WCPW shows, Since You Asked, but he's best known for his English language work on New Japan Pro Wrestling, which is, coincidentally and rather unfortunately, work that the Young Bucks have rather vocally criticised over the years, but nonetheless he remains a no-brainer from a business position. That being said though, AEW's long-term success hinges on them not merely just being a place people go after they've been in WWE, as so many indies before them have been. So yes, it is kind of counterproductive to put him on commentary given how much we associate his voice with WWE, but his skills extend far beyond the booth. So yes, bring him in, get a bit of interest, get a few headlines that way, but then let him produce, let him scout. Number 8, Justin Roberts, ring announcer. Bit of an open goal for this one, surely, as Justin Roberts is one of the most recognizable voices in all of professional wrestling. It does tend to happen when you ring announce for WWE for, I want to say, 12 years. It might be 11. We'll go with 12 though. He's already done the job for AEW, sort of, by ring announcing at All In, so he is pretty much a part of the brand already, they just haven't confirmed it. Now, despite the fact he has sadly slipped from the podium-marked most famous person in the world called Justin Roberts, apparently it's some YouTuber now, lol, isn't it always, he is still enough of a recognizable voice that he's a really good get for AEW. Hasn't quite got that problem JR has of being so intrinsically linked with all your wrestling memories, but he has got a vague familiar tinge. In all likelihood, this is a conversation that has already taken place, but on the offhand that A, it hasn't, and B, somebody from All Elite is watching, hello, I'm also available, by the way, they should definitely get him in. Have him ring announce Double or Nothing, then keep that consistency when you get a TV deal. Number 7, post-wrestling media. I don't even mind admitting this, post-wrestling's podcast is as good as ours. Almost. Hosted by Mezes Pollock and Ting, the pair provide comprehensive coverage for every single WWE event going, including NXT, but also have a really good working knowledge of the independent scene. The way they present it is entertaining, and their insights are insightful. There are few wrestling presenters as good or handsome outside of WhatCulture towers, but since we're based in the UK and not the US, AEW could lay down one hell of a marker by going for them. I mean, think about it. All of WWE's wider media coverage is presented by these pre-packaged, factory-bought journalism types. What if, just what if, AEW dipped into the rich and talented pool of the fandom to produce some of their material? By doing this, straight away you send a message to all the fans that this is their promotion in a way WWE could never, ever, ever hope to be. You also send a message to all the would-be wrestling correspondents, which, let's not forget, is pretty much everybody with an opinion on wrestling, that there is an achievable way to get into the industry at a company that size. It would make people engage, it would make people invest in it. Number 8, Earl Hebner, referee. Despite being a not inconsiderable 69 nice years of age, Earl Hebner remains the most iconic referee arguably in the history of professional wrestling. Now, whether you put that down to his visibility during the Attitude Era or his role in the Montreal Screwjob is, well, it's a matter of debate, but either way, he is. As I'm sure you will recall, Cody and the boys called upon his services for All In. He was the referee for the NWA World Championship match, and there are reports that he's going to be back for Double or Nothing, which is quite impressive given that he's already done a date where he was like, this is my last ever wrestling appearance, no more Hebner after this. It's actually quite nice that his daughter, Katie, there was a ref bump and she slid in and she counted the thing, and it was like a passing of the torch moment, but don't know if she's doing it full time. While there is, I will admit, every possibility that Hebs just wants a nice quiet life away from wrestling right now, if there is any way you could talk him back to working in some kind of senior referee official, it would be quite a good move. Like, ref bumps and screwy finishes always tend to be a little bit better received when the referees in question have a bit of personality, so getting Hebner in would expedite that process somewhat. Number 5, Maria Menounos. Bit of a mad one, this one, as a cursory bit of research actually reveals that Maria Menounos is still employed by WWE to this day. Wow, yeah, I know. I do research. Now, you may recall her as the special guest ring announcer from the inaugural Women's Royal Rumble, as well as the few sporadic appearances she's made on WWE shows over the years. Now, I assumed that her time with the company had finished at the same time as her feud with Beth Phoenix, but apparently, no, she currently works for them as an ambassador. Regardless, though, her strongest skill is that of an on-camera journalist, so it's quite bizarre, really, that WWE have never presented her like that to us in the past. Like, don't get me wrong, she's done some red carpet stuff, she's done some backstage stuff, but it's always as a guest, isn't it? She's never been part of the furniture. Now, if AEW could get her and make her the face of all their backstage programming, then she's A, recognizable to wrestling fans, and B, a big crossover star to outsiders. At the end of the day, she is a big wrestling fan and one of America's most beloved TV hosts. I'm told I don't really watch too much American TV. Now, the fact that WWE never combined these two facts is entirely down to them, and it's a mistake that AEW could profit from. Number 4, Jim Johnston, music production. Not really a whole lot to say on this one, is there? Beyond the fact that Jim Johnston makes wrestling themes that absolutely slap. Not really something that gets hugely acknowledged in wrestling, given that, you know, it does tend to fly in the face of everything you're told about how to make it in the industry, but a good theme song, the right theme song, can make or break a wrestler. Like, yes, you need to be a talented worker, yes, you need to be able to coexist with everybody, yes, you need to work hard, train hard, be able to live on the road, etc, 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 all that other stuff, but sometimes just glorious. That's all you need. He already has a burgeoning relationship of sorts with the company. He was at StarCast, which went along with All In, which just means it's starting to trace the little connecting lines between Jim and AEW, and if he went there, well, Jesus, the music. These have all been quite sensible so far, haven't they, really? That's a bit... Let's do 2 mad ones. Number 3, Moppy. No, I'm only kidding. Number 3, Jon Stewart, host. Yes, thank you for putting up with 7 entire entries of incredibly well thought out and insightful backstage talent acquisition. Let's do the fun ones now. The ones that could happen maybe if you squint a bit. Jon Stewart absolutely loves wrestling. He's done a program with Seth Rollins. He's hit John Cena with a chair. He has lived the dream of every single WWE fan who has fantasy booked themselves into wrestling matches. After 16 years hosting The Daily Show, he's now living a very quiet, suspiciously quiet, you might say, life raising livestock, doing stuff for charity, and getting into arguments on Twitter. But that's boring, so let's bring him back. Even if it's just for special events, let Jon Stewart host all the pre-shows, the panels, basically anything where you can put him behind a desk. Let him bring his star power and his style to all the shows and just mark out with all the matches exactly the same as we would do if we were in his position. Let everybody in America flick through all the channels and be like, oh my god, is that Jon Stewart hosting a sports show? Oh wow, it's wrestling. Number 2, The Undertaker, producer. Yeah, you were promised 2 wild ones. Let's just lay out all of the facts here. The Undertaker is one of the most important figures in wrestling history. He knows more about the business than pretty much anyone you would care to name. He's worked multiple gimmicks. He's put on some of the most memorable matches of all time. He has got to be one of the biggest figures in the entire business, and most importantly of all, he's now taking work outside of WWE. Alright, so yes, this other stuff is currently limited to awkward meet and greets and potentially haphazardous public speaking engagements, but let's just say he was open to it. If he was open to speaking to other promotions, if he was open to imparting some of that wisdom at a price, would you not just pay it if you had the money, which AEW do? Look, I did say these two were absolutely wild, and gun to my head, I can't ever actually see that one happening, but I don't know, maybe he would take a phone call, maybe he'd be open to talking to them. If nothing else, it gets you a headline. Number 1, Goldust, producer. Back to reality, and oh, there goes gravity. If there's one man that AEW have to pull out all the stops to get in the next couple of weeks, it is Goldust. Take everything I have just said about The Undertaker, his decades of experience, his enduring appeal, his knowledge of the industry, and slather it all in gold paint. The man is arguably one of the most underappreciated men in the entire industry, and it can only be a matter of time before he goes to join his brother in changing the face of it. If WWE have any class about them whatsoever, they will allow the 49-year-old one last big program where he gets to put over somebody on their way up. They make a nice big fuss about him retiring, secure a Hall of Fame ring around his finger, and then allow him to move backstage at AEW with a handshake. But this is business. He has already spoken about the company quite openly, said it's a good thing for both WWE and the fans, but getting from that to actually leaving for them is still one hell of a leap. Basically, Justin Runnels has forgotten more about wrestling than most people will ever know, so if they can get him, they absolutely should. I love the guy. But hey, those are just my picks. I'm sure you've got some of your own, so shout them out in the comments below, and of course, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. In the meantime, though, thank you very much for watching. Have, of course, been Adam Cleary, and we'll see you soon, won't we? No? I will. Bye. All right.